Hey everyone, this is a quick look at the LEGO Star Wars Ski Speeder versus First Order Walker Microfighters. This is a single product. These two Microfighters are sold in a single box, and in this video you will hear no substantive plot spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, no worries there, and I'll also keep any spoilers out of the comments as always. The Ski Speeder, I think, is one of the least compact, least dense builds that LEGO has done in the Microfighters line. You know, it's fairly wide and lanky in its build, but it's plenty sturdy, and I think that it looks pretty good. I'm not sure about the colors with the dark orange and also the blue used that give it a certain amount of vibrancy. Maybe the dark orange is kind of going in the right direction, but the blue makes it look a bit new to me, a little bit too clean and fresh, but I think that's okay. Just I think possibly there could have been some better choices made for that, just to dull things down a little bit. I like the little kind of shelf that they have on the edge here, which was also replicated in the full minifig scale version of this craft. The pilot just sits there in the open cockpit, which is actually accurate for this one. You got some nice little building around the back here with the rudder section, and they do have the ski that can actually be brought down if you're playing with it, so you can kind of pretend to balance it across that. And there's a little bit of detail at the back for the engine on this side. So yeah, it's not a bad looking thing overall, and I think that it plays just fine because you can just grab it right from here and, you know, swish it around, which is pretty cool. You can have it nice and close to the ground, use your other hand to shoot, and yeah, that's all good. The First Order Walker, on the other hand, is a traditionally very dense and kind of small and stubby build, which is typical for Microfighters to date. There are a lot of pieces in this thing. It's fairly heavy, and it can actually do quite a bit. Obviously, there's plenty of articulation for the legs to be moved back and forth, and that goes for the fronts and the backs. I do recommend grabbing it by a foot, so you can just very quickly put it into another walking pose. You don't have to spend too much time fiddling around with figuring out where it will actually balance things. So they've got that extra long front foot with the extra long heel, basically. You can always bring that down to the ground. I don't think the head of this looks like the ATM-6 Gorilla Walkers it's supposed to represent. I mean, they did try to get the kind of jowl down there, but it's missing, I don't know, it's missing just distinguishing features. I think especially from the left, from the sides, it needed that little bit of red, you know, that little bit of cockpit window to be exposed in some way. I don't readily see a good way to do that, but I do feel like this looks more like just the smaller walkers, you know, the ones that are based on what we already saw long time ago in a galaxy far away in Empire Strikes Back. This does have a ball joint for the head, so you can rotate that around and you can get a lot of expressiveness out of it if you want to, you know, kind of anthropomorphize this thing and make it seem like it's alive. You got stud shooters on the sides. Too bad they don't have a single shooter in the center, but I guess they just didn't figure out a way that they liked the look of to put a shooter there and still leave enough room for the pilot, you know, for the driver to be there. He does get a printed console piece in front of him, and I like this stack that they have behind him, which shows some of the canisters that are going across the back of that thing, or whatever those are intended to be. Those are actually at an angle, so they're just slightly angled down there, and yeah, it just adds a little bit extra texture in there. The figure does not get attached with any studs. That's very convenient. It's easy to get them in and out, but you see this is all just on a hinge. The body, I like the build of the body. I just feel like the whole thing doesn't quite look like what it's supposed to be, so I just don't get that connection with the source material. These double vehicle packs also come with a small side build. This one is just the most basic defensive turret emplacement or cannon on a monopod, and it's just a stud shooter. It's exactly what you see. You can actually angle it up and down. That's good. Turn it side to side, but that's just that. I mean, there's really nothing here, you know, kind of forgettable. The figures are billed as Resistance Speeder Pilot and First Order Walker Driver. Now, the Speeder Pilot has dark brown hair with the dual molded headset in it compared to the Poe Dameron version of the same, which had black hair, or has black hair, and the exact same treatment for the gunmetal gray based headset. Nice to get an option there. just a generic Resistance pilot uniform, so nothing new or exclusive as far as I can see for that, but that's perfectly fine. It makes complete sense to me, just using a regular, or reusing a flight suit. And then speaking of reuse, the First Order Walker driver is 100% just a duplicate of the one that we've already gotten, which I think is perfectly fine. I like very much the outfit for that one. I'm not completely sold on the design of the helmet, but that is definitely bias. It's not Lego's problem. It's not anything that was done wrong. I just much prefer the original, Empire Strikes Back Walker driver helmets. I just got used to those, the same mold that was used for the TIE Fighter pilots. But both of these look, I think, equally good from the back, and you get no alternate face for either of these. I was hoping to get one for the speeder pilot, but nope. And for the main face for the Walker driver, oh look, it's young Jango Fett. In summary and pure opinions, I think this is just an okay set. To me personally, the most valuable thing here is the Walker driver. It's a cheap way, relatively cheap way, to get another one of those. I think the speeder looks fine. It would have been nicer to be able to get it to actually pose up, above the ground, but that's maybe a little bit of an unrealistic ask for something like this. You can always just add a couple of clear pieces underneath, but I think it looks a little bit too fresh and new for the scene. And the Walker, though it is a very nice build for its size and has a lot of articulation, and it also has the ability to shoot and everything, it just doesn't look like the thing it's supposed to represent. And that's all because of the head. And it's just a total miss for me. I can only see it as the smaller regular Walkers, but then the back isn't right, and I don't know, especially this thing is also just completely forgettable. So this is definitely not one of the better sets. This is one of the lower priority sets that I would say for level of want for the Last Jedi wave. But of course, that's just one person's opinion. I have shown you the set so you can form your own opinion, and feel free to share. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to move on to the next video, so I'll be talking to you again very soon.